All right, so we are joined from Houston, Texas, by one of the best financial experts that I know, Toni Sanders, expert in financial literacy. Did a great presentation for us last year. Going to have another one for us today. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. We're recording this for our friends at Ridgeland High School, Madison Central High School, Germantown High School, and our YouTube channel. So we are so thankful to have your expertise with us today, because we've got everything from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade with us today. And the world has changed, and the need for financial literacy, especially in the Black and minority communities, is greater now than it ever has been. So I know you have a presentation for us, and if it's anything near as good as it was last year, I know it will be just stellar, because I got a lot out of what you shared with us last year as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Greg. I really appreciate you having me back. And hello, students. Thank you for having me. Yes, I do want to share my screen with you guys. I was just telling your teacher that we're on the heels of History Women's Month. So for all my ladies out there, all my single ladies, let's go for it. But guess what, you guys? We're just a few days away from National Financial Literacy Month. So I am so excited to be able to share with you. I want to tell you a little bit more about myself. For those of you who missed me last year, like Mr. Greg said, that my name is Toni Sanders. I'm coming from Houston, Texas. And yes, I am a certified financial education instructor. I'm also a licensed financial professional. You guys are a little too young just yet, but I'm also a registered Social Security analysis. But guess what? Analyst. That doesn't mean anything, guys, right? All that means is I'm here to educate you, to empower you, to equip you with some tools that will help you along your financial journey. And yes, you too can be educated now. I start with kids about age 0. I mean, I'm talking newborns. Their parents and grandparents want to get them started early. So I am super excited that you guys are here today. I do have quite a bit of information I do want to share. So I'm going to get right into it and share my screen. As you guys see, don't pay attention to all the awards, okay? But I want you to pay attention here. This means that we're on a campaign to educate 30 million families by the year of 2030. And because you guys are here today, you all are going to be caught into that number. So I'm super excited to add your school to the list of all educated persons. We've been on this financial journey for about 8 years now, and I'm super excited to share it with you. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get right into it. If you have any questions, put them in the chat, save them for me for later, and I'll definitely
going to get to.
Awesome. So we already got some questions and things already. So let's just get into it. So today I really chose the elements, right? So I was just really thinking about the students, and I was thinking, how many people really know about how money works? Because even as I talk to adults, Mr. Greg, people don't know about money and how money works. So we're going to start by just talking about how money works and how not to be a sucker, right? So I'm going to share this quick video, and I'm going to share my sound.
Billion people around the world continue to struggle with money and financial illiteracy.
The financial industry is not set up for you to be educated and know what's going on. The less you know, the more they make.
How bad is financial illiteracy?
It's not taught in school, so people don't know this naturally.
Oh, you're right.
So you grow up not knowing anything about it. You make a lot of mistakes along the way, and we're hoping to educate them and teach them how money really works so they can learn the cause and effect of all this.
And it doesn't have to be generational. Break that cycle.
We're on a crusade to eradicate financial literacy through learning how money really works. Everybody should have an opportunity to become educated.
How money works.
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 Start taking responsibility by learning how money works.
You have to know how money works.
How money works. Stop being a sucker.
Money means possibility. It means opportunity. It means freedom, things you've always wanted to do, dreams that you have. Money makes it possible.
I absolutely love that, because everybody needs to know how money works. Even you as students, not just the adults, but you too as students. You know what? We have this book called How Money Works, and I need to send a case to your school, Mr. Greg, so you can give it to some of the students, especially those who ask questions. I want them to be able to have something, a takeaway that they can have in their hands. Make sure that I give that. I know I always send some PDF copies of some books and some great reads. I have another great book that I want to share with the students. but I'll send a case of these books so the students can have a physical copy. But let's get right into it. This program is based on this book. It's called How Money Works. And I'm super excited. Right after this, I'll be joining some ladies, because now they have one that's How Money Works it's like the women's edition, because everybody needs to know how money works. One thing I want to talk to you guys about today is the foundation, and some concepts and protection, short-term and long-term. Some of the things I may even just skip over if I think that it's a little bit over your head, but I know this is a smart bunch of people here. This group is my financial wizards here, so I'm going to be able to share everything here with you. But let's talk about the foundation. It's very important that you understand the foundation. Put your education where your mouth is, right? So I chose this one because I want you guys to know how money works. I say this all the time in all of my presentations. Look, you don't have to do what I do, but you must know what I know. And so it's the realities and concepts of financial foundation. So when I'm thinking about this, I always try to think about where people are. It doesn't matter where you are, it matters where you're going, okay? So yeah, it doesn't matter if you're the haves or the have-nots, everybody can learn about money. So this is going to be the cast that we're going to work with today. I always like to have some colorful things that I can share, because I want to be able to kind of capture your attention and make sure that you stay with me at all times. So look at this. I don't know if you guys remember going to the bank with your parents, but we used to, when I was growing up, we used to get these lollipops. You remember that, Mr. Greg?
Absolutely.
And those lollipops, Mr. Greg, do you remember the name of those lollipops?
Suckers.
They were dum-dums, remember?
Oh,
They
yeah.
were called dum-dums. And so look, I love this. It says, think like not a sucker, but think like the wealthy, because the banks will always give us those little suckers, and they were branded the dum-dums. So the reason I say that, because an investment is in knowledge pays the best interest. Let me repeat that. It says an investment in knowledge pays the best interest, not only with your money, you guys, but I also want to think about your education. Knowledge is power, but it's the application of knowledge which is even more powerful. So it's morally wrong to, allow a sucker to keep his money, right? So I love the characters, and they say, so that's what we're up against. We remain suckers, or they become wealthy. Yeah, if you don't know how money works, that's generally what happens. So I want to change that. I want to eradicate financial illiteracy, because it's a huge problem, especially in the African American community. But let me say this. Financial education is a global problem. So don't just think it's in your family, or it's in your community, it's in your household. Every community has the same problem. One thing about us, we're all related, okay? Number one, we share the same uncle. His name is Uncle Sam. You don't know about him? Trust me, you're going to learn about him. Another thing is, think about it. Mr. Greg, all of our money is green, right? So you all have the same problems. The word sucker is a strong word, but yes, not knowing how it works sucks, okay? It sucks up your time. It sucks up your freedom. It sucks up your income. It is very important that we understand how money works. So what we think about, we bring about, right? So I always tell people, you have to use manifestations and think about all the positive things that you want to happen in your life, from your education to your career, how much money you want to make, how much wealth you want to build. Your reality will largely depend on how you think about money. So I want the students to think about this, right? And if I have any adults on the call, you think about it too. We work so hard for money. But what about making the money work hard for us? That's what I want people to understand that you can do. So this part will cover the financial illiteracy. It's the #1 economic crisis in the world. Not in Mississippi, not in your school, not in your community. It's in the world. We're also going to talk about the power of compound interest. That's one of my favorites, you guys. And then discover the wealth equivalency. So these are some takeaways that I want you to take away. Take notes if you desire, and I'll make sure that I send you some information so that you can be ready and equipped for your financial future. So when we're talking about financial illiteracy and it being the #1 economic crisis in the world, you guys, listen to this. Competence or knowledge in a specified area, that's literacy. So Are you financially literate? Understanding how to earn and spend and save and manage and invest money? These are the things that I want you to know. I want you to add this to everything that you learn in school. Always be a good student, but also be a good student of money. Once you learn to read, you will forever be free. Once you learn to read, you will forever free. So you have to learn that. The same is true about learning about money. You got to know how money works, you guys. So a recent study on financial literacy found that 30% of people in the world are financially literate.
Wow.
So listen to this, right? So if there's over 7.5 billion people in the world, Mr. Greg, that means that over 5 billion people are financially illiterate.
Wow.
The numbers don't lie, people do. The numbers are incredible when it comes to how many people really need to know about this information. Financial literacy is also the #1 economic crisis in America. This is where we are today, students. Listen to this. These are some astounding statistics.
Serious numbers.
Watch this, though. 44% of Americans don't have enough cash to cover $400 emergency. If it's not your family, I bet you somebody you know. How about this one? 43% of student loan borrowers are not making payments. So I want you guys to get good grades and go ahead and get free money. There's plenty of resources out there available for you. There are scholarships. There are grants. There's money out there. I do not want you going to school and finishing college with a lot of debt, and debt becomes a way of life.
Yeah, and in Mississippi right now, several of the community colleges with a 20 on the ACT will offer full tuition.
Oh, come on, you guys. You can do this. Too many people that I know today are still paying for student loans, and they're well into their 40s, 50s, and some people even into their 60s. How about this one? Over 9,000 is the average credit card debt carrying households is about 37,000 in interest over 30 years. That's quite a bit, you guys. That's quite a bit. I want to go back here because I saw another one on here I wanted to share. And it says 33% of American adults have zero in retirement.
Wow.
So when you stop working, what are you going to do? So the students are young now, but guess what? That time goes by so fast because you think you're young. You say, oh, Miss Toni, we're just teenagers. Next thing you know, you're in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s and your 50s. And you're going to ask yourself, where did the time go? The time goes by so fast. You don't believe me? Ask your parents. It goes by really fast. I didn't always have gray hair. Mr. Greg, I didn't always have this gray hair. So yes, it goes by really fast. Let's look at this. In a recent survey, U.S. adults said that on average, they lost $1,200 in 2018 because they didn't properly understand basic household finance. That's your personal finance. And almost 20% lost $2,500. Just not understanding money and how money works. Only 21% out of 50 states require high school students to teach at least one class in personal finance. Mr. Greg, is that Mississippi?
It is not.
It's not Texas either, you guys. I want you to know that this is so empowering. I am so honored and proud to be with you today. And I'm so excited that Mr. Greg always thinks about you students to bring some sort of financial education to you. And these are recorded. So you can always go back, watch them, share them with your families, because this is something that every community, every household needs to know.
Absolutely.
How about this? In recent survey, American young adults, they were asked what high school level course would benefit them the most. The majority, guess what they said, Mr. Greg? Money management, some type of personal finance. You know what? This is a slide you need to take a picture of, and we need to share it with those people who make those decisions in the Mississippi School District that these children need personal finance. We need to start it at the elementary, the middle school, the high school level, so that when our children get to the collegiate level, or perhaps they entered into the workforce, now they know how money works. When you start making more money than you've ever made before, Now you know how money works. And some of you probably work part-time now, but do you know how money works? One thing about the community, we know how to spend, but do we know how to save and invest the money for later? The lack of financial literacy traps people into the sucker cycle. That's a tongue twister. Often for life. It's not just a short period of time. Once you start off in that cycle, it just keeps going and keeps going. And young people, it's generational. That's what we have to break. We have to break that generational cycle. Instead of putting the money to work, suckers spend his or her money foolishly and deposit it into low interest accounts. Maybe you don't know a lot about that now, but all I want you to do is think about saving and investing, because you have time, and time is equivalent to money. The sucker gets a paycheck, and hands the money to someone else, and then builds wealth with the sucker's money. They don't even build your wealth, they build it for yourself. So you might be saying, Miss Toni, what are you talking about? For those of you who are working, you may have to go to a bank and put your money in a bank. So if I go and I deposit money into the bank, Mr. Greg goes to the bank to borrow money. They lend him my money. They charge him interest, but I don't get any interest. So guess who wins? The banks win. So we have to show you other ways and teach you. So when you become adults and you become older and you're in the workplace, where you can put your money. Spending monthly. Have a budget. A budget is not restrictive. Most Americans don't have a budget. Even you as young people, have a budget now. How much are you going to spend on lunch? What about your cell phone? Do you have to pay for gas for your car if you have a vehicle? If you have to pay for transportation, and how about all those gaming systems that you have? Everybody needs a budget. Everybody needs a budget. Tell your dollars what to do. If you can tell your dollars what to do, you will not have a problem. Most people, including adults, they do not have a budget. Most households do not have a budget. And if you start off with that habit now, young people, let me tell you, that's going to take you very far. Because one day you will want to retire. Maybe you're not thinking about it now because you're like, Miss Toni, I'm a teenager. Why am I thinking about retirement? But if I told you that my clients start at infant stage, I have clients who start off now so that they can start building wealth. It's nothing wrong with that. Start now, because this is what it says. Will your retirement fly, or will you need at least 70% of your pre-retirement income to live on? Most people are not going to be able to retire, young people. They're just not saving enough money. See, most people are considering, okay, maybe some Social Security, their personal savings, and then, their employer sponsored, retirement plan. But we as Americans, we just don't save enough money. Most people are not on track. I can answer that question for you.
And I just want to talk about that real quick because, especially in Mississippi and some of these rural areas, even my grandparents would always say, and the older generation could depend on Social Security completely because people weren't living as long. There was not as many people buying into it, but the days of people being able to depend on Social Security are over. And it's only going to get worse as these kids get older.
And let me tell you something, Mr. Greg, when your grandparents and my grandparents were coming up, it was 40-1 that would give into a Social Security check. Today, that is not so. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. So many people are not pouring into that system. And so whether or not the young people will be able to participate in Social Security, it remains a mystery. We just don't know. Yeah. We just don't know. So how about the no generation is saving enough? Now, I know this generation is Generation Z, right? Then we have the millennials and the Gen Xers and the baby boomers. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, people are just not saving enough money. Young people, I want you to listen to me, and I want you to listen to me good. You may have not learned this, from your families. I want to tell you a little testimony about Miss Toni. Miss Toni grew up poor as well. I'm originally from Akron, Ohio. I was from a very rural area where, my mother was on welfare. My mother had 4 kids by the age of 25. She just did the best that she could possibly do. But where you are today does not determine your future. And I tell that to people all the time. And when I tell my story on stage in front of thousands and thousands of people, most recently here in my hometown in Houston, Texas, in front of 2,500 people, people are really shocked. But don't be shocked, because you determine your destination. You determine on where you want to go and who you want to be. Nobody and nothing will ever stop you. Nobody and nothing can stop a made-up mind and a determined person who wants to win in life. So the future is yours. I want you to grab it and hold on to it and don't let go until you reach the top, okay? Because it's too crowded at the bottom. So everybody has the opportunity to win. I want you to know that, okay? So when you're saving for retirement, I want to skip over these things because I don't think you guys are quite ready that. But I do want to talk about how the suckers think, right? Because we don't want to be suckers, right? It says the haves and the have-nots is the way things have been, and I guess things will always be that way. I just told you it doesn't have to be that way. You're in control of your future. Nothing and nobody's going to stop you. So we're going to think like the wealthy, right? I may not have learned about personal finances in school, but with the right information and the right economic crisis, financial illiteracy doesn't. I skipped it because I'm trying to get my screen to move, you guys. Move, screen. It does. The economic crisis and the financial literacy doesn't have to be my personal crisis. That's how I personally looked at it. This is how I want you guys to look at it. Don't worry about where you come from. Think about where you're going. That's all I want you to do. So let's talk about one of my favorite concepts. It's called the power of compound interest. I love compound interest. You're going to love compound interest because it's literally how money works. So the power of compound interest refers to the growth potential of money over time by leveraging the magic of compounding, which is interest paid on the sum of deposits plus all interest previously paid. I want you guys to take, a screenshot of this. When you go back and look at this, make sure that you learn these rules that I'm about to share. This is going to change your life. If you don't learn anything from me today, focus on this section, right? So John D. Rockefeller, defining lesson, right? So as a boy, Rockefeller lent $50 to a local farmer. The money was to be paid with 7% interest. A year later, the farmer returned $50 plus $3.50 interest, right? So around the same time, Rockefeller was hired to dig potatoes for 3 days. Rockefeller was paid $1.12. So you have to look at this. It says on entering the two transactions in his ledger, he realized that his pay for his work was less than 1/3 of the annual interest of his $50. And he resolved to make much money work for him as he could. This right here is going to change your life if you understand how money works and how interest works for you. So let's talk about it. You working for your money. So I don't know how many students on here work. Maybe you get some allowance, you get some money for doing chores. The number of hours in a day limit how much you can earn. There's only 24 hours in a day and nobody's working 24 hours. And you guys are students, so I want you to get your education, right? That's very, very important. Nothing's more important. Every day you should have an open mind to learn something new. Your money working for you. There is no limit on how much you can earn because your money grows independently from your personal efforts. Okay, let's go to the next one. I have ways of making money you know nothing of, says John D. Rockefeller. So I'm going to show you the concepts because this right here, once you get into simple versus compound interest, I want you to know that it can work. It can work for everybody. What if Rockefeller's farmer wanted to borrow money for more than 1 year? Can you imagine how much it would have grown, Mr. Greg? Rockefeller and the farmer could have agreed on simple interest. So what is simple interest? The farmer would only pay interest on the original loan amount every single year. But let's talk about compound interest. Every year, the farmer would owe Rockefeller interest on both the original amount of the loan and all of their interest that he had incurred over the prior years. So you see what I mean? It's compounding, it's building on it, it just keeps going and going. So let me ask you a question. You want simple interest or you want compound interest, Mr. Greg?
Always want compound.
You always want compound. You're absolutely correct. See the difference. Let's convert Rockefeller's $50 loan in today's money. I bet you guys can understand this. So let's say that was roughly about $1,500. And let's imagine that 14-year-old Rockefeller, because I know I got me some 14-year-old Rockefellers on here today, right? And the farmer agreed on 9% annual interest on a 50-year term. Rockefeller will get a loan back plus his interest around retirement. Wow. How much he would have? The chart represents a 50-year timeline at 9% interest, simple interest. He paid $1,500 for the original loan and amount annually. Notice the growth is relatively flat because the interest paid is the same year. So remember, it's just simple interest. That's all he's getting, just straight across, like it's fixed, right? So now let's look at the difference. The chart, this chart, ooh, I heard Mr. Greg. Mr. Greg said, woo! The chart represents 50-year timeline, exact same. The 9% annual interest paid on the $1,500 original loan amount compounded monthly. So the growth increases more and more rapidly, and the interest compounds. Look at that $1,500 and how it grew. That's why we want you to know the difference between simple and compound interest, right? So I love that. Compound interest is the greatest mathematical discovery of all time. That's from Albert Einstein. He gives some great rules. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1, okay? So these are things that I want you to just stick with you and have it. And as you see here, saving with compound interest versus just saving. So some of you guys are just saving and you're not getting the interest. I want to show you how to get interest, even on a little money. It doesn't matter the amount. It matters the time and how much interest you're receiving. So an account opened with $500. Each month, $500 is added to the account. For 45 years, the money compounds at 9% constant annual interest rate. Notice that the interest earned creates a significant growth and not the savings added. You only added $270,500 to the account, but in 45 years, it was worth $3.730 million plus dollars. Come on, you guys. The interest is almost 13 times what he put into it. So you want to get some compound interest. I want you to fall in love with compound interest and get to know it. Let it be your friend, okay? So after 45 years, whose account is worth more? Sarah's or TJ? Sarah opens a savings account with $50,000. TJ opens the exact same account with $500,000, and then he adds an additional $500 every month. But the account earned is constant. He's earning 9% interest. So we already learned about that simple and compound interest. The power of saving monthly. Look at the charts. Sarah starts with $50 but never added any more money. TJ adds just $500. That's all he starts with, and he adds $500 a month. They both earn a constant 9% annual interest compounded monthly, and the term is for 45 years. So you can already see they're saving for their retirement. With only $500 to start, TJ earns more. Regardless of how much you have to start, with consistent savings, each month can bring a big difference. Look at the difference, Mr. Greg. Everybody can save. Maybe it's not $500. Maybe it's $100 a month. Do you guys know that that's just $3 a day? What if you're only able to save $1 a day? Every little bit counts. If you're working, if you're doing chores, don't spend all your money. I want you to live on 70%. So for example, what does that mean? Let's say you get $100 a month in allowance, or maybe you work and you get $100. Just live on 70% of it. The other 30%, I want you to give, save, and invest. And you guys literally can live off of half of it because you don't really have a lot of financial responsibilities. So now is the time to get in the habit of being a great saver and a great investor. Now, does your rate of return matter? How much? Absolutely. You do want to know how much you're getting and what's your rate. So, one thing I want you guys to know is, the rule of 72. It is amazing rule. And when you're looking at this rule, you're definitely going to see, and I'm hoping that it's in here, but let's just look at the following growth curves, okay? So they each reflect $178 added each month to a monthly compounding account beginning at age 25. You guys are not far away from 25, and they continue to let it grow until they're 67, okay? Observe how significant the difference in spike in growth can be when your interest rate is a few percentage points higher. Compounding time and your interest rate all influence how hard your money will work for you. You always want your money to be going to work for you. Once you see the difference, it's hard to imagine intentionally placing 3% or 1% less. But it happens every day because we put our money in a bank, or we put our money in a credit union, or we put it under the mattress in the refrigerator. We dig a hole for it, but it's not going to grow like that. Okay. So yes, the rate returns matter. It matters how much you're getting. And so here's the charts again, just to show you. If you're getting 9%, look how much money. That's over $1 million. 6%, that's over 400,000. 3%, that's over 179,000. And then just 1%, you're just getting just over $100,000. So yes, students, it matters how much interest you're receiving. It matters also, not just when you're saving and investing your money, but think about when you're purchasing cars, or maybe you're purchasing something that you want to use, or, credit cards. Please don't get into credit card debt. Don't go off to college and accept those credit card offers. Tell them, no, no, no. Miss Toni, Mr. Greg said no.
And don't get the store credit cards either. That discount's not worth it.
It's not worth it. And all that little t-shirt and a little cap and pizza and whatever they're going to offer you to get it, absolutely not. Do not say it. Do not say yes to that. But let me tell you, because this rule also works for when you're paying off debt. That compounding interest, it can work for you, but it can also work against you. Okay. So please keep that in mind. Now, how suckers think. I've worked hard for my money, so I just want to put it away and keep it for as safe as possible. But how the wealthy think. I've worked hard for my money, so now I'm going to work. I want my money to go to work for me as hard as possible. Yes, we work hard for the money, but it's okay to have your money work just as hard for you. Okay, so let's talk about the wealth equivalency, income versus savings. Okay, let's see how this works. So how much do you have in an account that pays 5%? So you don't probably have anything right now, and that's okay, because I just want you to think about for your future. I promise you, if you keep listening, if you keep coming to these, webinars and your class, and Mr. Greg is putting all this great information out for you guys, it's going to help you tremendously in your future. You'll be able to help your family. You'll be able to break the generational curses. You'll be able to change the financial dynamics in your household, and you will no longer have to be financially illiterate. So let's take a look. Let's say you bring home monthly income of $1,000. Look at the savings needed in order to do so. 5,000 monthly income, 10,000, just to equal the income of it all. So this is how I know that people, if they could just learn how to work hard for their money, but also put their money hard to work for them. Let's think about this. My bosses doesn't pay me enough, and I'm getting older. I'll never have enough money to live my dream. That's why I want you guys to start now. Start while you're young and you have time. Remember this, write this down. The wealth formula. You need money, you need time. You guys are so young that you have all the time in the world. Plus a positive rate of return, which is the interest rate, minus inflation and taxes. So think about this. You guys are young, so it only takes you a little bit of money. Miss Toni is older, so it takes her a lot more money because I have less time. This is why I want you to take advantage of time. So how do the wealthy think? My savings are light, no problem. I can start a business and create income and have enough money to live out my dreams. There's nothing wrong with going to school and getting an education and starting a business, and you can employ other people. Go get a great education. Maybe you want to work in corporate America. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing wrong with having multiple streams of income. You don't have to just do one thing, ladies and gentlemen. You can do more than one thing. Whatever you set your sights on, you can do it. You can do it. Now, again, we just want to educate. My mission is just to keep coming back in every year and educating you guys, to educate. They say 20 million, I say 30 million families. We're going to educate across the United States and Canada, and you're going to be a part of that. And I'm just super excited. This is just something, a money discovery. You guys are not ready for that yet, but I just want to be able to come back and share this. I want to send, some books and some materials that you guys can use. I know that I was able to kind of send some things, a couple of, I think it was last year I kind of sent some things, but I got some new things that I want to send. I want the students to be able to see. So yeah, I want to open it up for any questions, any concerns. Let's go for it.
Yeah, and I do have some questions from the students, but a few things that I did want to also mention is, you mentioned last time about you believe that the social media phenomenon has been a huge contributor to financial illiteracy, because people see celebrities or what they call influencers living this fake life that are putting out for people to see, but it is so fake. It is so fake that people fall into that trap of thinking they can afford it when they can't.
I'm so glad you said that, because absolutely, some of the athletes and some of the movie stars and things, to the ones who are really seeing what it really is. You don't have to drive 7 cars. There's no need for 7 cars because you can only drive one. There's no need to go out and buy, expensive clothes and things and labels and, all the name brand stuff. But guys, because nobody knows that that's name brand but you. We can't see the label. We don't know what it is, Most people, want to buy those clothes, eat the steak and lobster dinners. But I tell you, social media is fake. I call Facebook fake book, because it's not real. And if you guys are on any of the social media platforms, feel free to follow Miss Toni. I'm on TikTok. Yes, your girl got a TikTok. So I'm out there on TikTok. I'm on social media. Financial literacy is, really a hip thing. It's right now, everybody's wanting to get financially educated. Everybody wants to change the narrative and change the dynamics in their communities and their families, and even students. I talk to a lot of students all the time because they know that this is not taught in schools, and unfortunately students do not get this even at home. And so they take this information back and they share with their family and their friends and their older siblings and maybe their aunties and uncles, and they want to change, they see it. And just because you see that lifestyle, you guys, don't think that's not real. It's not reality. It's like a reality show. And I know it looks good because Miss Toni likes it too. I'm like, oh, that's pretty, but it's not real. I want you to know that everything comes slow and steady. You have to work hard for it. And you can have anything in this world you want, but you must work hard for it. You must get your education. You must be able to work hard. I am not a one who will tell you, you must go to college. Mr. Greg, I believe that there's going to be some students who do want to go to college and who want to have a career. Then there's going to be the other students who are going to be our business owners. We need a great mix of both. But you have to get educated, because you can't be, a business owner and you don't have the information that you need to sustain in business. So I want you guys to know social media is great and it has its place, but just don't believe everything that you see on there. And I always tell even my own daughter, and I have grandkids that are on there too. And you know what I tell them? You look at the, the good and you leave the bad. And that's in world in general. That's in the world in general. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah,
absolutely
because,
right.
I always tell them that celebrities see them as nothing but a dollar sign. We're just in this country, all the whole generation is just falling at the feet of these celebrities when all you are is just money in their pocket.
Right. You're absolutely right, because every like they get, all these influencers, guess what? They get paid for that, and they get their all the stuff that they wear. Half of them don't even pay for it, right? And let me say this to the guys and the gals, right? Let me tell you something. They don't own a half of that stuff. They rent a lot of that stuff. They don't own those cars. They don't own those houses, and those clothes and things that they wear are borrowed. Okay, so we, in our minds, we think, oh, they have it all going on, but that's not true. That's just simply not true.
Yeah, a lot of times they're in an Airbnb and they'll sit there and tell you they bought it, and anybody with half a brain knows it's a lie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you said, you don't have to be a celebrity or an influencer to be wealthy. And especially in Mississippi, there's a growing need and growing trend of some of these trade jobs that are making tons of money.
Absolutely.
The beach in South Mississippi, we have the Ingalls Shipbuilding, which has over 11,000 employees. It's the only place in this country where they make some of these naval ships and Coast Guard ships, and they pay welders top dollar. That they'll hire an 18, 19-year-old welder. They'll give them those corporate benefits. They'll give them the retirement. They can start saving for retirement at 18, 19 years old. They're not paying a dime for college. So going the trade route does not mean you are going to cripple yourself financially. Doing the community college route, especially if you want to transfer to the 4-year college, with these scholarships available in Mississippi now, Mississippi gets such a bad rap, but Mississippi does an excellent job utilizing the community colleges, giving great scholarships, need-based and academic-based, that can give you 2 free years to move on to that university, and then you have 2 years of college tuition you never pay.
I'm glad you said that, because I want the students to know that I went to a trade school. I don't have a 4-year degree. Yeah, I'm in the financial service industry, and I have been for 8 years. I am a multiple 6-figure earner. And no, I do not have a degree. And people are surprised that I tell them that. But I said, you know what? There is a lot of careers out here that you can go to a trade school. I do have my, my license, and I have different accreditations. But prior to being in financial services, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Toni was a hairstylist. I went to cosmetology school, and I had a 20-year career in cosmetology. Absolutely. And so whatever, again, if that's the path that you choose to take, no problem. But I agree with Mr. Greg. There are a lot of jobs out here that pay very good income. You do not have to go into debt, and they pay you a very good salary. You have great benefits. You'll have a great retirement, and you can really make a difference in your community and your household and your family. And, nowadays people are going for, where they find something that you like to do. Let me just say this. Find something that you like to do and get paid to do it. Okay? Because you have to do it for the rest of your life. And I want you students to be happy. It's not about the money. Yes, you have to take care of your families, but you must take care of yourself. Self-care is very important. Okay?
And depending on the field you want to get into, especially in the tech fields, they're more interested in experience and certifications than they are college degrees, especially right now. I tell these kids, if they want to get into a tech or engineering job, the Navy or the Air Force might be the best.
It's the best place to go.
Because you're getting paid.
Yeah.
You don't have any debt, and they're going to pay for you to have the certification. And then if you want to go to college on top of that. You don't have any debt. A company's going to see you in the military. You're making 6 figures at 23, 24 years old.
And let me tell you, the military, my niece is there right now. I think she's in Germany right now, but that's an amazing place to be, to have an amazing career with some great benefits. Absolutely.
And that goes back to, people see the movies and they think all the military is kick down doors and blow stuff up.
Oh no.
But the technical, but the financial jobs, the technical jobs, the support jobs are that's 80% of the military. The
absolutely
combat side is such a small part of it.
Stop watching all that TV and all that movie stuff. That's just for Hollywood.
Yeah. I like those movies too, but that is such a small part of the military, and I think
absolutely.
It is a viable option for a lot of young people. But I do have some questions from the students.
Okay.
And I'll get to as many of these as I can. This is a great one. This is Keisha Daughtry. She is a sophomore, one of our band members here at Velma Jackson.
Okay. All right.
And she asked,
I used to be a cheerleader.
Well, she's not a cheerleader. She's in the band.
I know, but we all go together.
That's true. Yeah, she's a great musician. But she asked, what was your biggest inspiration to start helping people?
Oh, I love that. My grandmother. My grandmother always was one to take people into her home. She helped them. And I just saw that growing up. And my mother, she ended up doing the same. And I think it's just something that's it's in my blood. I love helping people. I love making a difference in people's life. It's not about me. It's about the lives that I can change. And I realized at a very young age is the more people that I can help, the more it helps me. So I love that question. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is Jakia Luckett. She's a junior. Now, she is one of our cheerleaders. And she asked, what's the number one thing you would advise a new high school graduate about getting into the financial world on their own?
Get with me. Get with me. I want you to get with me. I'm always looking for young people because young people are the future, and the financial industry is easy to get in. Most people think it's difficult. Again, you do not have to have a college degree. That is a misconception about financial services. And be independent. I teach individuals who want to get into the financial space how to be independent and not to work for anybody. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong working for anybody, but why do for someone else when you can do it for yourself? So absolutely. I'll definitely put my information in the chat and you guys can reach out to me.
Absolutely. This is a good one. This is Zarius Cooper. He's a sophomore. And he asked, what do you think would be the best income ratio to have to maintain financial stability?
So let me tell you this. Right now, across the United States, the average income is about $50,000 to $60,000, depending on where you live. So you have to think about inflation and taxes. And right now, the inflation rate is about 6%. So depending on where you live, you got to think about cost of living and what it's going to cost you to live. And that's why a budget is so important. So the more money, of course, that you can make, the better. But unfortunately, what happens is the more money people make, the more money they spend. Always live under your means, act your wage. And what I mean by that is if you're making $1,000 a month, you're going to live off of 700, you're going to save the 300. Always have a plan to save because life happens. You know, we were in a pandemic about 3 years ago. And if that were to happen, there's so many jobs that weren't able to operate because they weren't essential. And so always live below your means. Of course, the more education you have in some instances, but just look for a career that is essential. That is very important because you'll always be working. Always. You'll never have a problem getting a job.
Yeah, and when you talk about living within your means, I can tell you right now, there is not a single person on this planet that cares what kind of car you drive.
Nope. My car is a 2012.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I have a 2014 that does exactly what I needed to do.
Yep, it gets me from A to B. And right now, I work from home. I go into the office 2 days a week, but I work from home for most days. And this is my home office, and it's set up just like my office at the office. But yeah, nobody cares about the clothes you wear. Nobody really cares. And that's one thing. Let me say this, because this is a great little segue for this. Most people in our community, and Mr. Greg, I'm speaking of the African American community. Okay. We always want to buy because we think the more we have or the better we look, more expensive stuff we buy. No, nobody's interested. Nobody cares. So we're the number one consumers, but we're the worst savers and investors. We buy things to impress people who we don't like and they don't care. Don't do that. Just take care of you and work hard, save money. And if you save money today, money will save you later. And all great things will come for you. Every day, have an attitude of gratitude and thankfulness for what you have. And every day, I just tell people just to say these words: increase my territory, increase my territory. And when you speak those things into existence, and there's power in the tongue. So what you say matters. Always be positive. Always have positive affirmation and be kind and be good to each other. And those are the things that will help you get very far in life.
Absolutely. This is Modesty Carmichael. She's in 9th grade. And she asked, what would be the best advice you could give me? Because I never had any experience or any education in financial literacy, but I want to start learning. What are some great resources?
Oh my God. That's my story. I want you guys to take our classes. each and every person in the state of Mississippi can get on our free workshops. They're virtually, they're online. You guys can do them from your tablets, from your cell phones, from your computers. They're happening 13 times a week, Monday through Friday. There's 3 times, well, for you guys, because you'll be in school in the afternoon, but twice in the evenings, okay? At 2 for Mississippi is Central Standard. So it is 7 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock at night. Okay. Before you go to bed, while you're having dinner, you guys can take a workshop. Again, that's on Tuesdays and Thursdays and excuse me, Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. On Wednesdays, you guys are in class at that time, but you guys have 8 times a week that you can take these workshops, and you can take them as many times as you want. And also, I'm a resource for you. You want to get this information, you want to take these classes. I'm going to make sure that I put it in the chat for Mr. Greg to give it all to you guys. But please reach out to me. I'm on all social media platforms. Be a part of this campaign. Even at a young age, you guys can start advocating for financial education and be an advocate for it. And so I'm glad that you want to learn, and I definitely want to be a resource to you.
Yeah, and you know, and I've never, you know, it's never about me and it's never about what I'm doing, but I can tell you, I have lost count of the amount of students that have come back to me and said, I wish I would have paid attention when you talked about this.
Yeah.
And because, you know, I understand when you're 16, 17 years old, you have other priorities. I did too. You know, we were all high school students at one point, but I'm telling you, I have lost count of the amount of students that have told me that. And you don't need to find out that this is important when it's too late.
When it's too late. Absolutely. So take the classes. The resources are there. I can say, as I was growing up, I don't recall resources being available. And for something that is absolutely free, that you can take as many times as you want, and make it a family affair. Get your family involved and ask them to take the workshops with you. I promise you, you will come out on top, and you will find me and thank Mr. Greg later. Really, you will. I promise you.
Now here's a good one. This is Kwame Johnson. He's a sophomore, part of our drum line here. He wants to be an engineer.
Okay.
And he asked, what made you choose the financial field after having such a long career in cosmetology?
Oh, you know what? Let me tell you the story. So I made a lot of money in the financials, in doing hair, right? I was a owner. I owned 2 salons, a day spa, and a boutique. I was a single mother at the time, and I had a young child. And it was time for my daughter to go to school, and she decided to go to Prairie View A&M University here in Prairie View, Texas.
Hey, this is Jackson State territory. Need to be careful talking about the Panthers now.
But let me tell you guys, I did not have the money.
Wow.
I couldn't write the check. And so I met a lady, and I told her that I was interested in learning. And I had no idea that I would enter into this space on a professional level. I just wanted to learn. But I fell in love with the opportunity to be able to educate my community and be a resource, because I believe this: I'm not a winner unless my whole community is winning. And so I decided to get licensed and join. And so I sold my salon, and the rest is history. I just fell in love with all the information, all the resources. It brought me back to my childhood, to when, my uncles would give me $1 and how I would spend money. And you know what, to be honest, I always talk to my clients about money. And when I look back at it, my grandfather was in banking, but I didn't have a relationship with him. So I think it was always in me. But then when it was brought to my attention as my adulthood, I really wanted to enter into this industry. And I can tell you, I couldn't think of anything more rewarding than help people retire with dignity and leave a legacy of generational wealth.
That's awesome. I just got one more from the students. This is Rodarius Williams. He's a senior. He wants to get into the tech space. He's real technologically gifted. But he asked, what are some investments that you would recommend I start making when I graduate from high school?
Oh my gosh, you can start now. I start my parents and the grandparents, they start kids at 0 age. And I mean, they're not even 1 yet. And so I want you guys to Google or look this up or watch my TikTok videos. And there's something called the IUL. It's the Index Universal Life. It's wealth management's biggest resource today that they're using it. And it's a great way to build wealth. There's so many books and so many resources out there, so many videos that are available on this product. And the reason I say this, because when you're thinking about saving and investing, there's a lot of things that you can do. but make sure you're educated on it. Make sure that you get with a financial professional that can help you make those right decisions. But remember, money needs time. Nothing is short-lived. It takes time. It takes time for you to build up wealth. But these are things that you can start doing now. Simply, opening up an account, making sure that you and your family have life insurance, the proper life insurance, because life does happen. And, again, these are things that I would love to have conversations, especially for our students that are working, that are seniors, because they do have money and you want to make sure that you're putting it in the right place. I love that question because anybody who is interested and starting now and starting early, you're going to have a bright future. Because again, I don't know about you, Mr. Greg, but I never thought about that in high school. My thing was spend, spend, spend. I made the money. I worked. My first job was at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I also worked at Target, and then I worked at a boutique. And believe it or not, you guys, in high school, I worked for an insurance company. And lo and behold, today I have my own. So yeah, let's definitely have a conversation. Again, I will leave all of my information with Mr. Greg, but I want to come back here more and more and more and share information with you guys every year. I know we have students leaving. I know we have students coming, but I love the questions. I love being a part of, what you all are doing at your school and your school system in the state of Mississippi. And I don't hold it against you that, my daughter was a Panther. I'm not going to hold it against you that you said that, but you know what? For anybody, I don't care where you want to go, where you come from. The world is your oyster, and I want you guys to take advantage of it. So, Mr. Greg, again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to come back for a second year in a row. I appreciate you always thinking about me because it's all about the kids. You guys are our future, and we want to make sure that it's bright.
Yeah. Now I have the chat box open if you want to share your social
Sure, I'd love
media.
to. Let me share my
Um,
information
they
with
can
you
all,
guys.
they can all see the screen right now, so they can add you, get some great information.
Okay.
But
I'm
while
going to share a link with you guys, and I want you guys to take this link. Let me send it to myself here because this is going to give you guys all of my contact information. You can contact me anytime, and I don't have my assistant answer everything. I like to talk to you. I like building that relationship with you guys so that you guys can know. I'm also going to have some videos in there. All of the books that I talk about are in this link, and also you can, contact me, follow me on all my social media platforms, attend the workshops. I want you guys to know that they put this stuff in a book. Let me tell you why. Because they said that we don't read. You have to read, okay? Don't sit a book on a shelf and let it get dusty and don't say I wasn't given the information. The resources are available, okay? But we have to take advantage of them. We must take advantage of them. So let me just stop sharing for a second. Oh, let me go here. Hang on, Mr. Greg. And I am going to grab this link and I'm going to put it in the chat. And you guys can contact me at your leisure. Let's see here. Here we go. This is my hi, hello, and this will come straight to my phone. I'm going to put it here in the chat. And anybody interested in, having the links to the workshops, you can simply click on there. You'll be able to open it up. There's also something I have in here that's called, let me go to it so I don't know that I'm not rambling, and I want you, if you click on that link and you can be able to see it, let me view it here. So in here, it's going to show you my picture. It's going to tell you everything that I do. But there's some links at the bottom. One in particular is my Flowco page. When you go to that Flowco page, it's going to be a little caricature of me at the top. There's a video that I would love for you guys to watch. It's called Black WSB. And it's all Black professionals that are in the industry like me. And we come from all walks of life. You'll be able to see that. There's a book called Saving Your Future. There's another book, Share with Your Family. It's The Retirement Miracle. And there's another book called Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. But in here, there's a link where you can schedule an appointment with me if you'd like to have more information. But more importantly, it's a link about our financial literacy campaign. And then there's something called National Financial Literacy Workshops. Register for the workshops. Take as many workshops as you like. There is no charge. And then, hey, let's just keep this going. Share with your friends, your family, so that we can get to that 30 million by 2030.
That's awesome. Well, we're almost out of time. And I just can't thank you enough for the great the great information, the great insight you give, because I get a lot out of it as well. And it's like we said at the beginning, you know, there was a time where this, you know, in the video, it wasn't being taught. It wasn't being made a priority, especially in these rural Black communities. But really in all communities, especially in Mississippi. So you have the opportunity now to learn it. Saying that it doesn't apply to you is a big mistake. Saying that it's stupid, it's boring, that's a big mistake. You don't have to be an expert, but you have got to at least become familiar.
Absolutely. And I always say this, you don't have to do what I do, but you must know what I know.
That is a great quote. Well, we thank you so much, Toni Sanders, all the way Houston, Texas. It is always a pleasure, and such a joy that we've connected, and I appreciate you so much.
Well, I thank you, Mr. Greg, and thank all your students in the state of Mississippi school system. I'll see you guys next year. Have a happy National Financial Literacy Month.
All right. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Bye-bye.
See ya.